Sri Lanka is a blessed land with diverse and unique geography, terrain, climate, and a rich documented history spanning over 2,500 years. To be included on the World Heritage List, sites must be of outstanding universal value and must meet at least one of 10 selection criteria. Sri Lanka has 8 unique and distinct locations which have been given the status of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The second oldest of Sri Lanka's ancient kingdoms, the capital city of Polonnaruwa, was established in the 10th century after the country was invaded by a Chola dynasty. In 1070 CE, Vijayabahu I of Polonnaruwa, also referred to as Vijayabahu the Great, surrounded the city and captured it from the Chola invaders. The grandson of Vijayabahu I, King Parakramabahu, led the country into an era of great agricultural and economic development. The massive reservoir built by him, the Parakrama Samudra, an amalgamation of several smaller irrigation tanks, stands testament to the prowess of a hydraulic civilization way ahead of its time. While there are around 50 important sites and structures scattered around the city, to visit these numerous monuments and absorb the details, you would need several days. However, the place which many tourists don't miss is the magnificent complex called the Galle. This set of awe-inspiring Buddhist statues are now protected by a modern roof. In the region of Dambulla lies the Sigiriya rock citadel. Built by the patricidal king Kashapa, the rock rises abruptly out of the landscape and stands 200 meters high, dominating the jungle around. Sigiriya is considered to be one of the most important urban planning sites of the first millennium, and the site plan is considered very elaborate and imaginative. The plan has combined concepts of symmetry and asymmetry to intentionally interlock the man-made geometrical and natural forms of the surroundings. On the west side of the rock lies a park for the royals. Laid out on a symmetrical plan, the park contains water-retaining structures, including sophisticated surface and subsurface hydraulic systems, some of which are working to date. The beautiful paintings of the frescoes, thought to be dated to the Anuradhapura period, have a unique style. It is conjectured that originally the entire western face of the rock was covered by 500 of these paintings. Just a handful of them have survived the ravages of nature. The gardens of the Sigiriya city are one of the most important aspects of the site, as they are among the oldest landscape gardens in the world. The sacred city of Anuradhapura lies 200 kilometers from the capital of Colombo. Designated a World Heritage Site in 1982, it lies on the bank of the Malwatuwa River. The Mahavamsa states that the sacred city was founded in 350 BCE by King Pandukabaya, the 6th king in ancient times and the first king of the Anuradhapura kingdom. Anuradhapura is the location of the Jayasri Mahabodhi. It is the sacred bo tree which was carried from India. A sapling of the actual tree which the Lord Buddha sat and meditated in Bodh Gaya, India. The sapling planted in 288 BCE is probably the oldest documented living tree in the world. The area around the tree in ancient times was a part of a great temple complex, along with the Brazen Palace, Ruwanvelisaya, Abhayagiriya, Jetavanaramaya, Tuparamaya, Lankaramaya, and the Mirisavatiya Stupa. Today these sites are venerated by followers of Buddhism around the world and also by tourists who want to explore this ancient, wondrous civilization. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the Sinharaja Forest Reserve is the country's last viable area of primary tropical rainforest. Most of the trees here are endemic and many of them considered rare. The relatively small area does not belie the trove of endemic species of trees, insects, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals found here. The forest reserve receives an annual rainfall of 3,000 to 6,000 millimeters throughout the year. The waterways and waterfalls, juxtaposed with ferns and climbers, provide scenic jungle vistas like no other. The forest also provides villages at the periphery, over 200 species of plants, which are used for various purposes. Sinharaja is the last remaining, relatively undisturbed remnant of tropical humid evergreen forest in Sri Lanka and is a living repository of a pristine ecosystem. This organic heritage is protected to conserve the multitude of species of flora and fauna. The Galle Fort is a 16th century Portuguese colonial era defensive trading fort situated at the very southern tip of Sri Lanka. The fort was originally conceived and built by the Portuguese in 1588. The Portuguese were superseded by the Dutch in 1640. The Dutch were instrumental in fortifying and improving the structure using coral, stone and granite to bring it to the scale of the formidable fortification we see today. Dutch control of the fort and the country ended in 1802 when they ceded control to the British, who continued to improve the fort structurally while adding their own architectural flourishes to the buildings. This continued throughout the 1800s. Two prominent additions during this period being the old stone clock tower and the lighthouse. Galle Fort and its city within is a unique urban ensemble with a fusion of European architecture and Asian themes. Today the fort and its township within have become a tourist hotspot, though despite this it retains the charm of a well-kept secret. The name Senkadagalapura or Senkadagala is a popular historical name, with folklore attributing it to a Brahmin named Senkada who lived in a cave nearby. While a succession of kings ruled from this city in the hills and repulsed several attempts from foreign invaders, this all came to an end when the British launched an invasion and reached the city in 1815. Today Kandy has been designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site and houses the sacred tooth relic of the Buddha in the Dalada Maligawa. Housing the relic of the tooth of the Buddha, this site is revered by Buddhists around the world. Bhikkhus of the two chapters, Malvatta and Sigiriya, conduct daily worship and rituals. The Thevawa, performed 3 times a day, is the best time to visit and experience the drumming accompanying the offerings. From the painted archway entrance into the temple to various architectural facets, the site is filled with visual treats for the history buff. This is Sri Lanka's largest and best preserved cave temple complex. There are 5 caves in all, with a total of 157 Buddha statues, along with statues of kings and deities. The vast internal spaces of the cave shrines are not compartmentalized, but are spatially differentiated by deliberate and subtle arrangement of sculptures of exceptional craftsmanship and decorated with brilliant compositions of mural paintings. In 1938, the architecture was embellished with arched colonnades and gabled entrances. The courtyard, which extends to the edge of the rock, has a Bodhi tree and an area to make offerings. The cave shrine, their painted surfaces and statuary are unique in scale and degree of preservation. Sri Lanka's highlands are situated in the south-central part of the island. The property comprises the Peak Wilderness Protected Area, the Houghton Plains National Park, and the Knuckles Conservation Forest. These montane forests, where the land rises to 2,500 meters above sea level, are home to an extraordinary range of flora and fauna, including several endangered species. The property includes the largest and least disturbed remaining areas of submontane and montane rainforests of Sri Lanka, which are a global conservation priority. More than half of Sri Lanka's endemic vertebrates, half of the country's endemic flowering plants, and more than 34% of its endemic trees, shrubs and herbs are restricted to these diverse montane forests and adjoining grassland areas. The Sri Lankan leopard is a unique subspecies known as Panthera parduscotia. All 3 nominated properties provide habitat to this subspecies of leopard endemic to Sri Lanka. When you travel the land, the rich diversity of nature, history, and culture provides a bewildering selection of sights, which can be only termed as amazing. It's no doubt that the future will see the unique set of UNESCO heritage sites in Sri Lanka being added to.